This is Liberia. It's a country on the West African coast that was founded in part by freed slaves from the United States. With a population of about 4.5 million, it's about the size and area of Kentucky. Throughout most of its existence, Liberia has been racked by conflict between the Americo-Liberians, who descended from freed slaves, and the native Africans who have lived there for centuries. In the 1980s, this conflict erupted into a long civil war. A peace agreement was reached in 2003, but the effects of the war are still felt today, with approximately 85% of the population surviving on less than $2 a day. This is Reverend Emmanuel Sewan. Reverend Sewan felt a calling to ministry and started at the Bonga School of Theology in 1990, but his studies were disrupted by the Civil War. In 1998, he graduated with a Bachelor of Theology degree and was ordained as an elder in the United Methodist Church. He kept pursuing formal theological training, earning a Master of Theology degree in South Korea and a Doctor of Ministry degree from St. Paul School of Theology in Kansas City. This is our own Reverend David Meredith. David is also a graduate of St. Paul School of Theology. David and Emmanuel were not classmates at St. Paul. They attended at different times, but they were connected in the summer of 2014 through a mutual contact at their alma mater who knew about their shared interest in marginalized communities. On September 14, 2014, Reverend Sewan, who was in the country for his graduation ceremony, came through Ohio to visit us here at Clifton United Methodist Church. He spoke with us about a ministry he founded in 2012 called Be a Neighbor, a program to provide basic needs for women and their children living with HIV in rural Liberia. This ministry started after Reverend Sewan witnessed firsthand the extreme stigma and abandonment of women in his church and in his own family who were diagnosed with HIV. More than 75 women meet once a month in Bonga for a support group and worship experience that Reverend Sewan leads. They receive groceries to prepare nutritious meals, and they are provided with transportation to and from the hospitals to pick up their medicines. To reduce the stigma of HIV and AIDS, Be a Neighbor Ministry also hosts annual workshops to educate the community about HIV transmission and the availability of medicine to prolong life. Shortly after Reverend Sewan's visit, we learned that the Ebola virus was spreading rapidly through Liberia. By November 2014, there were 6,000 confirmed deaths across West Africa. At the time, Clifton UMC had no clear connection to the disaster or the recovery effort. But that month, one simple email from Reverend Sewan changed everything.
Dear Reverend David, greetings. Ebola is currently subsiding gradually in Liberia, but the high cost of living is causing us more harm than Ebola. Could you and your congregation rescue Be a Neighbor with at least $1,500 to buy rice and other groceries? My family and I are included because the university from which I get my support is closed due to the same Ebola crisis. We are really hungry. May God bless you all. Emmanuel.
We were called to act. We included Be a Neighbor Ministry specifically in our Christmas offering and were able to send $950 to purchase rice and other staples. In early 2015, we received word from Reverend Sewan that our gifts were received with great joy and gratitude.
I write to acknowledge receipt of the sum of $950.22 from the Clifton UMC and to express my thanks and gratitude to the entire congregation on behalf of Be a Neighbor Ministry and the women and children we serve. The women and their children were so happy and sang songs of praise to God. I will send you the photos after Holy Week. Though you are thousands of miles away from Liberia, you have put smiles on many in Liberia. Thanks for being a neighbor to Be a Neighbor Ministry. May the Lord bless you all. Reverend Dr. Emmanuel Sewan.
Liberia's sluggish economy and crumbling infrastructure from the Civil War made recovery from any disaster a daunting task. And Be a Neighbor still had women coming who needed their help. We remained in contact with Reverend Sewan via email, Facebook, and even a scratchy phone call. In September 2015, we received word that Reverend Sewan had been transferred to a large church in the country's capital city of Monrovia. Still, he made the 120-mile journey to Bonga every few weeks to keep Be a Neighbor alive. In 2016, I was delighted to be able to share on behalf of our church that over the next 3 years, a portion of our capital campaign tithe would be sent to Be a Neighbor. Reverend Sewan's goal is to use gifts like ours to make his ministry sustainable. Funds are used to empower the women in the ministry to transform their lives, not just to keep the ministry running. Our gift, he said, would be used to purchase calling cards, a popular commodity in Liberia, which the women sell to earn a living. Our first gift of $6,080 was wired to Be a Neighbor in April of this year and has already been distributed accordingly throughout the program. When the Be a Neighbor ministry expressed a clear need, we listened. We trusted them as the experts of their own lives. Our church aims to shed the traditional model of colonial mission work in exchange for a two-way relationship with United Methodists around the world. Reverend Sewan founded his ministry on the tenets found in Luke 10:29. He sought to answer, "And just who is my neighbor?" The one who showed compassion. And Jesus replied, "Then go and do the same."